Hi, welcome along to today's 4-Minute Clinic Live. I am Dr. Marianne Trent, and this is your daily prescription for better mental health. Let's talk about when we are hated. Well, it doesn't feel nice, and it cropped up recently for me, very recently as today. But this was provoked by activities yesterday with my youngest child screaming repeatedly, "I hate you, you're the worst mummy in the world," repeatedly, over and over again. And this is kind of fresh territory for me as a mummy, and as any kind of anything to anybody really, because it's not the sort of treatment that I'm used to. And when my eldest child did it when he was about 2, I cried. And it never happened again. And he said, "I'm very sorry, I'm sorry. And it never happened again. But my youngest child is made of tougher stuff than this. And what I recognised, even in the moment, even though I was, cut to the quick, what I recognised in the moment was that it's about me putting in place a boundary. So children will not always like boundaries, but what we know is that boundaries make all of us, adults included, feel safe. If there were no boundaries, laws are boundaries, curfews are boundaries, it sets expectations. If there were no boundaries, how would we know that, generally speaking, we could close our door at night and nobody would come in, off the street? Boundaries make people feel safe, and we need to put those boundaries in place for our children, even if it doesn't make us popular. So last night, the boundary that I dared to implement was that it was bedtime, and therefore it was time to stop watching the YouTube video that he was watching. He wanted to watch the rest of it, and it was half an hour long, which, I'm all for a bit of flexibility and a bit of, you don't need to march necessarily to the beat of my drum, but we do need to be, giving a bit of flexibility. And so if it had been a 5-minute video, we would have let that slide, but we can't allow half an hour, especially after we'd had a really lovely day with a really lovely party. And part of me as well is kind of thinking, well, is he tired? Is he overstimulated? But he'd had a really long sleep in the morning and had been joyful at the party. So I kind of don't think that is what it was about, which makes it a little bit harder to fathom. And there's been a slight resurgence of it this morning as well, because I dared to suggest that he might want to put some clothes on. How unreasonable am I? But in terms of moving forwards, we have to think about trying not, and I know it's difficult even for me, trying not to hold on to this, trying not to let it affect the relationship, and trying to reflect on this at a time when, the child or the person is in the state to be able to think about it and reflect on it. So even 5-year-olds can absolutely reflect on their actions, and it's just finding the right time to do that, and making sure that when those ruptures are repaired, which they were, we've already smoothed it over last night, that they stay repaired, that you don't keep harking back, because that's when it becomes a trauma. So I will keep you posted on how I do on this. If you find this useful, please do like, share, comment, engage, tell your friends, subscribe, like, follow, interact, do all those great things, and I will look forward to catching up with you tomorrow. Have a lovely day. Take care.